I'm recording. All right. Hey there, guys. So I've been doing a little bit of work, kind of behind the scenes, kind of talking with a couple of you. I've talked a little bit with Tanya and a little bit with Liz, who are basically the ones that show up on the calls live, and who I know are around. And I know a couple of you out there are also working on the side. Like a couple weeks ago, I did this whole, hey, this is our team name, this is why we have this name, and I was hating it. I was not loving it. I was not loving Team Pursuit Fitness. I don't know why. I don't like the fitness in it. Even though we do fitness and nutrition, it's so much more. Even though for me, a lot of mine is the spiritual fitness aspect, I just didn't like it. It didn't feel like ours. It didn't feel like what we really are and what we're about. Not that we're not on this pursuit of like a greater, mission and whatnot. So I've been toying around and kicking around ideas, and I'm officially going to change the name of our page. I've worked with a logo guy. I've got a logo that I'm kind of liking, but we are going to now be Team Epic. Yes, I like the word epic. Team Epic Redemption, which I think I like. Do we like that, Tanya?
I like it.
I mean, I like Team Redeemed way better, but like it exists. And I want something that if you were to like Google, like if somebody was to find us, because eventually we're going to be so big, people are going to be coming to find us. I want there to be no mistake in who we are. So we are going to be Team Epic Redemption. And I'm working on a logo. Did you like that red one, right?
I did.
It keeps growing on me. I looked at it, it was like 1:00 in the morning. I got up with the dog and I happened to look at my phone and they had already gotten back to me. By the way, it was $6.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And he got back to me right away. But there's another one that he did and I didn't like the picture that was with it. Like they just do their own, like they give you two. And the one that he did, it was like a shape of an apple with like a muscle in the middle. Like, because they just do two. And so based on like what I said we do and who we are, there's a cat.
Yeah.
That's what he came up with. So, but what I want to see is I want to see the Phoenix in place of where he has this apple thing and see what that looks like. So I may share that or I may just do it. That's not what our call is about tonight though, guys. So I'm going to get into a little bit of information. And we know I do like a ton of personal development. And I wanted to share some of the nuggets that have been most important that have really driven some points home for me over the last couple books that I've read. And then actually give us a little bit of an assignment before we close out tonight. So the first thing, most of us, for the most part, are struggling with sales. Like, let's face it, this is ultimately our job is sales. Now, we can't look at it as sales because it's bigger and greater than that. But ultimately, we are selling a solution. Now, this awesome quote literally showed up in the last two books I read, and it's by Perry Marshall, and you may or may not have heard it, but it says, nobody who bought a drill actually wanted a drill. They wanted a hole. Therefore, if you want to sell drills, you should advertise information about making holes, not information about making drills, right? Kind of to the point, makes sense. Like, so we need to think about that as we're talking about these, like, yes, a year access to digital streaming programming is awesome, but most people aren't wanting to buy workout programs. They're wanting to buy something as a way to, this is where you have to have the conversations. Like for some people, it's a way to build confidence. For some people, it's a solution to handle some depression or anxiety or gain energy or lose weight, like whatever it is for that person. That's what you need to be talking about. Those are the things that you want to address. Now, when we talk a little bit later, we're going to talk about how you kind of tweak what it is that you're saying to who you're saying it to. Tanya's reason for being a coach is different than Liz's reason was for being a coach. And how you guys look at things and address things are going to be different. So when I talk to you guys about coaching and what we're doing, they're going to be slightly different conversations based on, what your needs are and how this can fit those particular needs. So as we're talking to, our prospective customers and our prospective coaches on our team, we need to look at what it is that's the pain point that this can offer a solution for. One of my more recent challenge pack sales, well, it was about 2 months ago, And I had shared on here, I talked to this woman for literally a year. And for her, it was really like she was just not liking herself. She was depressed. She was in a bad way. Well, I'm not going to keep talking to her about, hey, this is going to help you lose 20 pounds, in 3 months, or this going to, no, because it wasn't just about weight loss. There was so much more that we need to address. So think about that. We're not, people that are buying drills they don't want a drill. They want a means to make a hole. So we need to figure out what it is that our people want and then offer that solution. So it's really important that we're having conversations and not just mass trying to sell things. And I know that we all kind of know that inside, but then we start to kind of hit panic mode and like, oh, we got to give all this information and blah, 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 blah. Because I still do it all the time. I vomit all over people, all the information that they don't need, all the information. We need to remember that people, when they go into this, they're not just buying a product, like they're buying into you. The people will tell you all the time, most of the people that you talk to probably know at least one Beachbody coach. They may know several Beachbody coaches, but they're going to work with, who they like, know, and trust. They're going to go with that. So like, how do you get them to like, know, and trust you? Some of these people, especially in the beginning, they're people that you've known your whole life, but how are they going to trust you? Like, Tanya's a pretty trustworthy person, but why am I going to trust her about Beachbody? Like, why am I going to want to work with Tanya? And you start to build trust by being open and honest in your one-on-one communication, but in your social media. You're not like fake on social media. Like you're transparent. You're sharing what you're doing. But most importantly, to build trust in something like this, people want to see you show up. That's where the trust comes in for this kind of thing. People don't want to see you like put on a crap ton of weight and then lose it and keep doing that every time a new program comes out. Say, oh, look at my new before and after. Look at my next. That's not building trust. That's saying like, oh, so you can lose weight in a hurry. I can do the same thing with, this other fad diet. They want to see you showing up on a regular basis saying, oh, this is possible. This is something I can do. Oh, this is something my family can do. And that's how you're going to build that trust. And I know that for most of you that are watching this, this is not new. But it's so good to like be reminded of that every once in a while, that showing up is so huge in that trust factor. Okay. I do have some notes here. When we're talking to people, we want to talk, you're going to hear a lot from Taryn on the Team Fitfluence page. As you start to do personal development as it relates to network marketing and sales stuff, they're going to talk about your target audience, your niche market, and that stuff can be like a little overwhelming. A huge mistake that I made when I started and kind of fall into a lot of times is you don't want to like discount anybody, right? Like you're like, I can't make a sale to one person. I want to make my market huge and broad. I want everybody to want to work with me. But the problem is not everybody's going to be able to work with you. And when you're not specific enough in who you're talking to and you're not specific enough in your message gets missed. Like nobody hears it. Nobody sees it. Nobody even knows that you're there. So we need to get a little bit more specific in who you're talking to. Like, who do you want to work with? I want to work with former athletes. That's primarily who I want to work with. That's not the only people I'm going to work with. But the kind of people that I'm typically going to end up working with are people that have that kind of athletic mindset, people that are driven. I'm going to look for people that had a horrible time transitioning. The athletes that I work with typically had a bad time transitioning from being an athlete to a non-athlete or a non-competitive athlete. So that fits really well in the military community because, you go from this life that you thought you knew to this like new identity and where do you fit in? So it's more narrowed. I'm primarily working with women. If I make my message so generic and so broad that it could be man, it could be woman, it could be anybody, it's going to be really hard to pull those people that are more like me. And those people that are more like me are going to go work with somebody else. So I hope that makes sense. There is this really, really awesome analogy in this last book that I had. And it was called Magnetic Sponsoring. And let me see, where is it? It's by Mike Dillard. It's a great book. I actually don't recommend that you read this early on This is like way higher level. This talks about a lot of like advertising. And I mean, if you're looking to build a business in a hurry and build lists and do some crazy stuff, this is a great book. And there's a lot of good nuggets in it, but it can really feel overwhelming if you're starting out. But what they said about your niche market, it was awesome. It says, I'm going to read it word for word. It says, let's say you're an award-winning chef who's come up with a steak dish that is considered pure perfection. The cow raised on the purest feed in the world and prepared by your skilled hands. Flavor worthy of $100 price tag for 8 heavenly ounces. All right? Picture that. I was drooling at the thought of it, and I'm a vegetarian. Okay? But it just so happens that you work at a vegetarian restaurant. As you might guess, despite all of its merits and applause, you couldn't give that perfect dish away for free to the diners at that restaurant. So even if it is the most perfect, amazing cut of meat that is worth every penny of $100, if you're pitching it in the wrong place, if you're trying to sell it to a vegetarian, it's not going to happen. And so we need to think about that with your message. What is the message that you're sharing? Who are you sharing it with? Is that why you're not getting any traction? It says, so it continues, it says, on the other hand, you could walk next door to Steak Baron's Inn, and within 10 minutes, the dish would be sold out. They might even dedicate a full page of their menu just to show your example of perfection. I'm like, okay, that's kind of a little bit. But that really resonated with me, and that really struck a chord. It doesn't matter if you have the most amazing product, which I believe we do. If you're talking to the wrong people, it won't matter. So we need to be really aware of like who we're talking to. Who do we want to be talking to? How do we get those people to, again, follow us, like us, know us, trust us? And that comes down to our story. And our story is the most powerful tool we have in all of this. You're going to hear over and over and over again, like a million different times, a million different ways, that facts tell, stories sell. Like, Tanya, how many times have you heard that?
Tons.
Like 2 million times. And it's true. It's the basic reality. People buy into the feelings. People buy into the emotion. People buy into the story. They don't care all about the facts. That's one of the reasons that like Apple did so much better than PC, because PC was like not touchy-feely. Like they don't make this whole experience about like taking your tablet out of the box. You know, like it's not the same, that same feeling that you get when you get the Mac, which I hate because I'm now a Mac person. But like PC was more like, these are the facts. This is how it is. This is why we're better. Whether they're better or not, people didn't care. They wanted the experience. They wanted the feeling. They wanted to be part of the story, not a part of all the facts. So it doesn't matter if you tell people and you hit them over the head over and over and over again about the greatness of Shakeology, and it's got 70 nutrient-dense superfoods, and it says this, 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 and this. If they don't know why it benefits you, or if you don't have a story for how it has helped somebody else, they're not going to care. Because people don't pay attention to the facts in the same way. But if you have a good, compelling story, whether it be your own or somebody else that you know, or pull from the Beachbody library, then they're going to want a little bit more information. Then, yes, you share the facts. The facts are important, but that's not what's going to sell them. So you want to think about that. I'm going to reference the book, Get Over Your Damn Self. I know Tanya has it. I believe Liz has it. But it's by Romy Neustadt. I'm not sure how you say it. This basically, and I'm even going to recommend it to dudes out there. So Mike, Jason, I definitely recommend this book to you guys as well. It's basically a blueprint for how to do network marketing. Now, it's geared towards women, but the principles and what's in it applies to dudes as well. I recommend this book almost over GoPro as you're starting. And we know how much I love GoPro. But our homework is going to be from this book. So, as I keep shifting around in my chair, what I want us to do is really start to hone in and craft our story. I want us to really, like, not just kind of know our story and bits and pieces, but I want us to pull the essentials of our story and bring it down into a 45-second, almost elevator pitch. I know we're not in elevators necessarily 45 seconds anymore, and we may not be in elevators a lot because we're healthy and we take the stairs. But You want to be able to share in 45 seconds, if you're talking about the business opportunity, your story about the business opportunity, or if you're talking about, the challenge packs, what your story looks like. And so, Tanya, it's going to be chapter 4. I know you're reading, some other books, but go back and take a look at chapter 4. And guys, I'm going to not lie. It's part of this is your homework because it's my homework, because I wrote down when I did this that I needed to do this exercise and I have not done it yet. But it talks about how important it is that we have our story, but that we know our story inside and out. One of the great things about actually getting our story down, writing it down, practicing it, knowing it inside and out, is we're going to be able to adapt it much quicker and easier to the different situations that we face. If you're pitching this to a busy working mom, you're going to appeal in a different way than you're going to appeal to, the single, executive that was an athlete that, doesn't have kids. Like you're going to tailor it a little bit differently. But the more you know your story, the easier that's going to be. But there's going to be a couple important parts of your story that matter. And it says the keys that we want to focus on, who you are and where you've been. And I'll include this in the notes in the YouTube video. But who you are and where you've been. That's important. Like, who are you? Where were you before all of this? What's happened in your life to cause you to look for something more? Like, why did you even give this a shot? What was it? Did you hit a rock bottom? Like, what happened? I mean, some people like flat out had a heart attack and were in the hospital and the doctor's like, you need to change. But what is it? What happened to cause you to look for something different? How did you hear about the company and why did you want to be a part of it? That's talking more to the, when you're talking about your prospect, as far as the business opportunity. And what's it doing for you or going to do for you? And you can tailor this, again, for whether it's the business side of things or just working with a new customer. What's it doing for you or going to do for you? If you're newer in this, you still have a story. You might not have a before and after transformation yet, but you can say, like, I'm in this because this happened and I need this at this point in my life now. And even though I'm just starting, this is what I expect to see. This is what I expect to attain. This is where I'm going to get. And you share those pieces. Now it says these stories they want to be short, like 45 seconds to a minute tops, no more than that. You want to give enough information that people are intrigued and they want to know more. If you give them everything, they're not going to want to know more and your conversation is over. And so in here, there's going to be some examples of how to tell your story in a compelling way. What are the things that you want to have in it? What are the things you want to leave out? Tanya's been doing this a while. Tanya's got a story. So how do you pull what's most important? And that's where you've got to kind of figure it out. Like when somebody asks me, what's my story? I'm like, oh, geez. But we want to be able to answer effectively, quickly, hit the major points, know the major points, leave out the stuff that's not needed for that first conversation. So she gave an example and she said when she started her business, here was her short story. Okay, now this chick, she's ridiculously successful. She's with Rodan and Fields. She was a PR executive. But this is her talking about why she's doing this network marketing thing. So the first part, who you are and where you've been. She says, I've been tied to the billable hour and at the beck and call of my clients my entire career. First as a lawyer, then as a PR executive. The next part of her story. But as a mom of 2 little ones, I want more flexibility to own my own schedule and to make more money to get further ahead. It's a tall order for a working mom, but I found a way to have it. Third part, how she heard about her company. My PR client introduced me to X, Y, or Z company. She was funding the business. She hired me to promote through her side gig with my company. I immediately recognized this was a way to build my exit strategy from corporate America to the lifestyle I really wanted. Said, I'm excited to grow a team and a customer base around my PR practice, the kids, and all the other things on my plate to create a lifestyle I really want. And I'm excited to help others have more options too. That's it. That's like her story. She hit the high points. She hit the point where she was, working billable hours. She didn't want to do the billable hours. She talked about her career as a lawyer. She made that very clear. She talked about having kids. She shared all of it in a really quick, short 45-second story. So in her story, she drew them into her life, where she was, what she was feeling, what she wanted. And then she made it something they could relate to. If I don't have kids, I don't have kids. So if she was talking to me, she might mention the kids, but then she's going to make it be something that's more relatable to me. Something about, her point in the kids was she wants to be around. She's got a busy schedule. So to me, she might appeal, I was able to do this with kids. I know that you've got, a busy schedule. And when your husband's off, or your husband's got a crazy schedule, and when he's off, you want to be home and be there for him. I was able to do this even around my kid's schedule. This is how it could work for you. She's able to bring them in and draw them into her life, and share. And she narrowed it down. She cut it. She practiced it. She edited it over and over and over again. You want to craft a story, but while you're crafting this story, write it down, because guess what? That is a crap ton of social media posts that you have. Something that you cut out of the story that you share as your story is still part of your story that you can be sharing on social media so that people get to know you more. You're not going to write out this whole 45-second story as a single post on social media, but you'll be sharing it over time. And when you meet people in real life and you talk to people about the different things you're doing, you're going to want to be crafting a story. Over time, she also talks about, there's going to be things that are important to you, but that don't need to be in the story. They're not essential. Don't add the extra fluff so that you can keep it short. She says you have to be ruthless with your editing. And it's hard because we're attached to different pieces of our story. And I continually try to figure out what are the most important parts, because I talk a lot and there's a lot of things. So you want to be thinking about that. What I want us to do, guys, is to practice my connection is unstable.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're back.
I want us to craft and practice our story. I want us to actually write it out. I want us to practice saying it. I want us to be able to do it without reading it. And I want us to share it with each other. And we don't have to do it on a call, but we absolutely can. But I want you guys to work on this through this month. Try to get this done over the next week. That's my goal, is to have this done, especially, guys, if you're going to be seeing family and friends over the holidays. You want your story ready to go to share, because this is something that's important to you. This is something that I believe you're all passionate about. If you're watching this, you're passionate about it, because there's probably only one or two that are going to watch this. So make sure that you have that down before the holiday so that you can share and talk it at the holiday. Practice on your family and friends. If you screw up, big deal. Your family and friends, they might block you. I don't know. They're not going to disown you. And then if you want to practice it with me, we can jump on a Zoom, we can get on the phone and let's talk through it. Let's see, how can we edit it and help each other out so that we have a story that's ready to go. A lot of times they call this an elevator pitch. It almost sounds sleazy as an elevator pitch. Kind of don't like that. But you want to have that. You want to have it ready to go to share. So guys, that's the main stuff. I know there was kind of a lot. It was a little bit all over the place. But the most important part of this business is sharing your story, and then how your story can apply to somebody else to help them to solve their problem. Not to sell them a challenge pack, not to get them, enrolled with their Shakeology and their digital streaming and their portion fix containers, their double time. It's to help figure out a solution to the problem they're having. Not the problem that's easy for you to fix, like the problem that they're having that you can address. Questions, Tanya?
Nope, I'm writing down the ideas that are popping into my brain as you're talking.
Oh no, they're popping in your brain. Yes. I love that they're popping in. When you read this, did you write a note to yourself like, ooh, I need to write my story?
Yeah.
And you didn't write yours either, right?
No.
I have my book. I have my book from when I did when I did this book, I had my notes that I was taking some notes. And then there's a big blank page where I was going to do my story. Like a big couple pages I left blank. So, yeah, guys, this is a good one. It's something that we definitely need to do because it's going to just help everything flow a little bit easier and a little bit smoother. And you're not going to feel like caught like a deer in headlights. I actually flat out had a woman ask me, the woman from Soul Supply, when the first time I met her, she's like, so, we were talking about something and she knew I did Beachbody. And she's like, so what's your story? Like she actually asked me, so what's your story? And I was like, and then I like gave her like a spiel and it was okay, but it wasn't like, it was not clear and concise. Right. She ordered, she got a challenge pack, but she was already kind of ready for that. But and she was just asking because she's a curious person. She has conversations. So be ready with your story. What other thoughts do you have, Tanya?
None right now.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to end the recording, but that's your homework. Do this. Practice it. Let me know where you're at. I'm going to continue to ask us about it in this page so that we can really help each other out because this is an important piece, and this is something that we should all do right away. How much easier would your life have been if you did this 2 years ago, Tanya?
Much.
I know. All right, guys, you have a great night. I'm turning the recording off.